Hi Kanak, hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm all good. I know it's a Saturday and we're doing this on a Saturday, so let's just wrap this up as soon as possible.
Yeah.
But let's also delve a little more into whatever the topic you have chosen for, to mentor, to have this mentorship program on. So just for our audience here, Miss Kanak here, she graduated from the LLB batch of 2024 and she is a lawyer right now. So Kanak, if you want to, introduce yourself in your own terms as well, I'll just hand it over to you.
Okay, so as you said, I am a recent graduate only from Jindal, but this 1 year has taught me a lot and has actually shown that how much Jindal did affect me in making who I am today, which you don't realize when you're in law school. Other than that, I am actually practicing right now in Bombay High Court. So I'm currently in Mumbai. I am into pure litigation, which is the civil side. So real estate, etc. So civil side of the litigation is what I am practicing, and that's about my introduction right now. That after law school, it's 1 year of practice, but I think I do have some insight for the people coming in. Really do want them to know about it.
I'm sure, I'm sure. So Kanak, just to, set the tone for the conversation, just a light-hearted question. So how was your Jindal experience and how were your, early days after graduation into litigation itself?
So I was actually not a litigation person initially of my law school. I think most of us enter law school seeing Harvey Specter, and that is what I had an idea that law school you do 5 years and that's how it's going to be. But towards the third year, actually after the COVID reopened our batches, I started in that duration. I started doing litigation internships, and when I went to court every day, even as an intern, I had no idea what they were talking about. And if today I am having the same conversations with my seniors, which I used to think are such huge things that my seniors used to do when I was an intern. But I actually fell in love with law more after doing litigation, because every day you're reading about it, you're learning about it, and it's something new every day that I'm coming across. Like, no matter how many years you go, even my seniors say that every day they are having to research something new, and that is what I wanted to do. And you feel like what you've studied or what you've been doing is actually directly related to what you've been practicing in your day to day. So my initial days were very daunting, to be very honest, because you're suddenly now no longer an intern whose mistakes or whose lack of knowledge can be looked over, because you are expected to know at least your basics. So that's one thing I want them to know, that your basics, as somebody who's just graduated law school, they will not expect you, or your seniors don't expect you to know everything, but something that a law student should know, that writs and all that which you keep hearing for 5 years, that's something you should know, because tomorrow when these things come into your normal day conversations, it's going to be very important. And the second thing that I actually faced was that your reading, I actually lacked in the first few years of law school, that I did not put in the effort of reading the entire reading material which our professors used to give, because thinking that, oh, I just need to pass the exam. But it's way beyond that, because eventually you will understand that reading everything and understanding it actually helps you after law school. Because even if you're in corporate, for that matter of fact, let me just touch that, or into litigation, you will be expected to read a lot of papers, understand them, and summarize them, for not only your understanding but to brief your seniors, to go and tell a judge, for that matter of fact, that what did you study out of that whole brief, because a judge won't have that much of time. So read and try and get into uh, knowing the depth of your matter. Like, initially I used to take, let's say, 3 days to understand a matter, but I would not give up that, oh, it's very long, because tomorrow if somebody asks you, you need to know from front to back anything. So that is something also I wish I could have done or practiced in law school, that is to read, and not only for the sake of giving an exam, but to read to understand what's written. And that way Jindal has actually helped, because we never had textbook a question answer kind of it was always conceptual. It was always, what do you understand from this, which is very much needed for somebody who's into law or who needs to keep interpreting things after graduation.
So, Kanak, just along those lines, how does your professional life look like right now? Like, what is a day in Kanak Purohit's life like?
Okay, so given the city, so commute takes most of the time too. But other than that, a professional day would look like, so your, if today it's a Saturday, and right, like Monday my court week begins again. My work actually starts from, even if I'm taking a day off, it actually starts from a Sunday evening or a day prior, because I'll need to know what matters are going to be listed the next day. So what we practice is, we have to tell the clients that your matter is going to be listed here on this serial number. There's a cost list that comes for every court, so you need to go through that, and you'll know that okay, some matters are listed on high on board, some will be reaching a little late. So you plan your day accordingly to which court, which tribunal, which forum to reach when. Then you will have also drafting and conferences and etc that you need to work around throughout your day. So my typical day would look like, first knowing what matters are listed the next day. Then I'll also have to keep the briefs ready for every matter a day prior, so that the next morning when I reach office or I have to directly go to court, there's no hectic rush or chaos that's happening with other people, because there are other associates also having a lot of matters. So you need to be prepared with what you are going to go for. So I do that. Then you then again, priority wise, which matter is going to come in which forum. I go to courts, you have your appearances. Now that is again one of the most unique thing about litigation, that you'd never know when you're going to get free from court, because a matter can be adjourned on saying the judge is not presiding, or he's just not in the mood to listen to your argument, or he wants to listen to your matter in full length. So you never know. So we try and manage our conferences and everything towards the end of the court timings, because we don't know for sure. So after, let's say, 3:34, around when everything is getting sorted, you then start seeing what is coming the other day, or in the coming days, what is important to be done. Is there any filing, is there any urgent pensioning that needs to be done, or some client conference that they need, right? Because in litigation there's always a last moment thing that comes up, or you need to get done with something, that there's a department requirement that they need, and that's, or a judge has given you direction, or the other side wants to mention and get the get the matter listed the very next day. So now suddenly, out of the four I had on the next day, now I have five, and you have to manage that. So towards the evening, you again start first telling the clients what happened in today's matters. So you report them that this is what happened and this is going to be your next state, or what's the progress in the matter. And then you start seeing again the next day's cost day. So that's a typical thing, that you have to prepare for what's coming tomorrow. And towards the evening, you wrap up the day and start preparing the next day. Now in between that, you might have on some days conferences, you might have some new matters that are coming, so clients might come and then you'll have to brief. So there are a few things here and there, that's not a regular thing. But a regular litigation day would look like, every day starts a day prior for me, at least.
So, Kanak, what were some of the misconceptions that maybe you harbored when you got into litigation, or maybe you want to, just let those misconceptions, just break those misconceptions for other people also? What are some of those, if you can just list some?
Yeah, so the number one myth that I had in my head was that litigation is going to be very glamorous, that every day you go to court in your robe and band and gown and everything, and you're going to argue, and every day it's going to be in your favor. Like you think you're going to win. That's what I saw, that it's going to be easy. What's there? You have to just tell that this is, my lord said, this is my.
Spoken like a true Harvey Specter fan, I feel.
Exactly, that I'll go, I'll win, and I will not even have to go into the depths of it and then just come back. And that is what I thought litigation is all about. But The first week I enter into it and I see that you don't even get to go to the courts because you are not ready for it. And I still remember my first appearance. I was given instructions by my seniors. You have to go get an adjournment and you have to waive off writ of summons or something. And I was like, and I didn't know the basics of it. Why should I waive or why should I not, and all of that. I'm like, okay, this is going to happen. And in my head I was like, this is how it's going to be. I'll go and speak, I'll be done. And there's something else that happened there. And I freaked out because I was like, oh my god, did I do a blunder? It's not supposed, like, it didn't go with the script that I had in mind. So I got really scared. And then my senior's like, it's okay, these things happen. So one, it's not going to be exactly how you think in your head, that you go, you argue, and you win every time. It's not going to happen, or it does not go according to how you have planned it. It's very demanding. A lot of, eventually the pressure does not decrease. You just learn how to be okay with it, or how to manage it. Very unpredictable, that you have to say. And you often feel that you've started very small, but that's also something I feel that eventually that is something that's building your strength and resilience. Number two, that litigation was all about arguing. Like, I thought that 80% of litigation is argument and the 20% is, actually, I think I'd never countered or considered the drafting side of all of it. In my head, litigation was always about arguing. But I think more than arguing, even if I put aside drafting, it's more about listening and observing what the court wants to hear at a particular point of time, and which is something you learn when you are going every day, and we're attentive for it. There are a lot of judges who want to know exactly, like, okay, fine, what is it that you've come for, give it to me in short. There are some judges who remember what happened in the previous day, so you don't have to even brief them, but there are some who will forget. So you need to understand what every court, how are they different, what they want to hear on a particular day, how are they listening to other your colleagues or your fellow advocates. So listening and observing is also, actually, it's way beyond more important than just arguing in litigation. And of course, the research, the drafting part of everything is very important, because that's the basis of your argument. You cannot argue something that you have not contented in what you are writing. So you will have to make sure that whatever you think you want to argue, want to say there, has to be put in. So I think 80% now I know that 80% of every litigator's life is the drafting, the research, the case law side of everything. And last, I always thought I'll be next in line for Harish Salve, for Jait Malani sir, and all of them. And no, success does not come fast in litigation. It's like a slow burn. But once you start realizing that it's actually a game of skill. It's not something that you put in an year and then you will get a jump or you will feel successful. No, in 6 months also, if you have managed to get the skills which a 5 year advocate might not have, you will be valued more. It's a game of skill and credibility. Like, tomorrow, if a client wants to engage me or wants me to represent them, they need to feel that I have that credibility. They need to feel I have those skills to do justice to them. So, but then again, it takes credibility to build that trust, and it's a slow and steady race. But I feel that even if it's just a year, but every bit of it is worth it. So these three were my main myths that demystified after I've graduated.
So I believe these misconceptions also pose as challenges for you as well, like personal challenges. So
Yeah.
would you want to like delve a little more into challenges, like actual challenges that you went through in your early stages, and a little more into how you overcame them at the same time?
So, see, I'll be very honest. The initial years in litigation, and I think most of us get very daunted by that also, that it's going to be tough, that your financial expectations may not be matched, which is very important. And I feel that you don't need to see just what your title or having that advocate sticker or whatever. It's not you will see a financial return of whatever you're putting in your effort too. You will be working long hours. It's not like that if courts are done, if the court has got up for the day, your work is done. No, I just told that the actual work starts after the court is done. So you are working as long as anyone else in the field, and sometimes you might not get the recognition you want because you're still learning and you are still being mentored too. You will be, you will submit a draft that your seniors might have to redo completely, and that will feel that you don't know anything, which has happened to me. A lot of my drafts in initial days were supposed to be redone twice or thrice because there's a particular tone that you have to manage. There's a particular language that you have to keep following for a particular note or a writ or any sort of, you have precedents for that which need to be followed, which I had to learn the tough way. And you there have been times where I have questioned my choice of litigation as well, because after a long day, when you feel that you are giving but you're not getting as much, it actually sometimes breaks your spirit. But these are the moments that have shaped me to the person I am today, and that I'm here telling you that there are myths. I want to demystify them, but it's going to be so worth it in the end, because you will learn discipline, you will learn patience, and you will learn the respect for the craft that your seniors. So if tomorrow when you see a Harish Salve, for that matter of fact, in court, and when you feel that he just goes into court and the judges, even the Supreme Court, the Chief Justice of India, is ready to listen to him, is because of these years that that person has put in. So you respect that craft, and it's not just because of the name. That name became because of his years of humility, discipline, and patience in this field. And you will also learn to deal with clients, how to handle pressure, and how to keep going even when things are very uncertain for you. And these skills are not something only for litigation. I feel these are life skills also. You need discipline, patience, and humility, and respect for any profession in your everyday life also. So it's not that those skills or those tough days were only helpful for my career, but also made me into a different person completely. So the early years of your test for your commitment or for your choice is going to be tough, but they also give you stories and they give you lessons and perspectives. I feel that other professions sometimes are not able. Like, I would have more stories of how tough it has been, even in 1 year, which other people might take 10 years. So I'm like, I have stories. I
Do you
have.
want to delve into one of those stories maybe for like 5, 10 minutes and then we can proceed to the next question? Because I
So
am personally, I'm very curious to be honest.
So one of the stories would be that I'll tell you something that I'll tell you about my failure only, and then today I'll tell you how. So there were two matters that were going simultaneously, and I was supposed same court premises. It was a district court, and there were and we were short of associates to be going to different courts. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll manage that. And one judge was known to take his boat slowly, he would listen to everything, and one was known to be going fast. And I was at 36, 37 at one, and I was 16 at one, so I thought the 16 one would get done quickly. And he stopped at 8 or 9, and the other judge kept going on 2021. And now I have started panicking because there is nobody else, and I have been giving the responsibility to appear in both. And it's not that I just have to get an adjournment, I have to speak, I have to inform the court about the developments in the proceedings. And once you miss, either they don't take up again, but most of the courts are adjusting enough that they will keep it back in towards the end of the board, but you'll have to wait. And I had other conferences that were already scheduled, so I had to get them done. And I kept running between two courts consistently, and the advocates and the judges were just like, she's coming and she's going, she's coming and she's going. And I'm like, I don't care, I need to track both of them, because sometimes the district court website, so district court does not have a website which will tell you which matter is going on which courtroom. And all the other seniors, everybody was busy. It was a very hectic day for the office also, and I was running and I was like, I don't want to do this. It was, and the weather does not sometimes help you, and I was like, I'm getting, and I started getting very worried, stressed and frustrated, and any text or any call, I was like, I cannot deal with it. Somehow the 36, 37 got done first, and the other one got done, and then I was like, huh, I finished. So that 20 minutes of stress was something that I thought, I don't want to do it. Like every now and then you will get a you will get a fear of what if I mess up. Like I am somebody, I don't want to mess up. I would be very, I take criticism a little too personal. I take it as not only on my work but on me. So I was like, I don't want to mess up. I don't want to miss my matter, and it's going to be very tough. And what if it does not go? Because my seniors are also busy. What if it does not go the way I'm thinking it's going to go in my head? So I'm constantly reading about both the matters, what to say. What if the judge, because you don't know what a judge is in the mood of wanting to know what the matter is about, or just knowing, okay, yeah, what do you want? So you have to be prepared. And it was very stressful, and I was, and the second it both got done, and I was like, I did it. I'm like, that was fun. That stress for 10, 15 minutes was, I mean, like people were looking at me that just stay in one code. I was like, they're both going together. And at one point I was like, I don't want to go anywhere because it was getting too much. But I think after I got done, and when you see the order that comes, when the Roznama comes and you see your name, it feels like, of course, I did it. I could do it, and it suddenly makes it all worth it. So these kind of running around the court stories are a lot. Criticism stories are also a lot because given it's just 1 year, I do get very nervous even if I'm submitting a internal note of a meeting, and I get very like, so those stories a lot, but then ultimately then I have a lot of things to tell to my friends and my family that, oh, this happened with me today.
So I think again you said like life lessons, you get to learn a lot of life lessons also in these kind of
Definitely.
things. So how was your mentorship in your initial stages when you were doing litigation? So how was it that time and what kind of mentors do you have right now?
So I am actually enrolled in the Bar Council of Rajasthan because given that I'm a domicile of there, and my litigations were done in the courts of Rajasthan, and I ended up coming here and practicing here in Bombay. So while the basics or the theory part of the litigation or the profession stays same, like you will file a plaint under under CPC only, or a rejection under 711 or whatever, all those are same, but how the courts function is going to be different for every city, for that matter of fact. um, Even two benches of the same court would be functioning differently. So my biggest mentorship that I needed, or I think my mentors kept patience about, was that even though I had some knowledge about litigation, to understand the courts in the first 6 months was very important. And even though I kept asking very silly questions, and I kept asking how to navigate a website at some points because it was very different from the Rajasthan High Court website, or and then the Bombay High Court website. I'm like, how do I get the case status? How do I get the objections that I raised? But my mentors and my seniors, touchwood, they are so welcoming. They never make you feel like, you know, oh, you don't know that much. They don't make you feel like little or that you should have known, because I think they also understand that they were there at some point. And I feel a good mentor can actually make or break your spirit also. If I would not have my team partner or my immediate seniors as somebody who kept telling me that it's going to get better, that you will learn, and eventually I think they were also observing me, so kept building, giving me a little more pressure. They never dumped everything on me at once. Now I realized that it kept getting like two matters, then it became four, and then it became, okay, you right now you're just sending out say emails, now you will talk to clients, now you will debrief. So it they gave pressure eventually, which did not feel like a lot. And today I think I'm on like some 20-25 matters, and I don't feel pressure at all. But that uh, on day one, and I think it was exactly 7th of October I started working, 2024. So 1 year, 1 month into it, now I feel like if they would have given me this much pressure in the start, or they would have kept nagging at me that you should know, why do you not know this? I don't think I would still be practicing, because I think a good mentor in any profession, for that matter of fact, I feel, if they need to understand that you're also learning, but you also should be willing to learn. I think they saw that in me, that I want to learn, I want to do better, which is why they were patient enough for giving me time and space for me to learn. So I think it goes vice versa. A good mentor can actually only mentor you well if you're ready to learn from them.
So, just to wrap up the whole session, Kanak, do you have, just to come to your own Jindal experience, do you have any particular memories of, your time on campus, or any particular course that you feel really helped you in, get into the profession that you are in right now, or any other skills that you might have learned that are helping you right now in your, litigation practice?
So on skills part of the area, I feel you know, there's a term that readings our professors give us, like it's a very common term in the Jindal campus, readings hai, which is basically, it'll be articles, it'll be book excerpts that are related to the subject that you're learning. It's never direct. You'll always have to understand. In the first 2 to 3 years, I never understood why would you give me this to learn when it's not even directly related to the topic. But it was very important because it gave you a vast knowledge of all sides of that subject. So one, reading, even if you're not able to finish line by line, just go through it once, which is what I started doing. Like, at least I should know before I'm going to a class, what are we going to learn about. And that actually helped towards the end. If even if I knew the first few paragraphs, or the, if I've just scrapped through the surface of a reading, I would understand what the professor has been trying to tell the whole time. And suddenly the professor was not bad, it was just me not putting in the effort. I think professors in Jindal are good, they're doing a really good job. It's just sometimes I used to not put in that much effort, which they are also giving for us. So, reading, and also please give yourself time off from reading. I've seen, I used to be like, I've seen people who are only either in the library, or they're constantly reading, or their rooms. I personally cannot function like that. And I always tell people, please have days where you just don't do anything related to work or study, for that matter of fact, because that actually helps you be more productive, understand more. Your brain will get saturated. So Jindal giving us those breaks between classes, or say time off, or good enough, breaks and leeway to take a off, was something that actually also helped. So I learned that it's okay to not be working some days. It's fine. The world is not going to end, for that matter of fact. Now, coming to courses which I really loved were, there's a professor in our college, Professor Khagesh Gautam. He mostly covers criminal procedure. He was our CRPC professor, and then eventually I took his elective. So, because I realized that I want to go into litigation, while selecting electives, and I started being very specific and very intentional about it. So I think Jindal has a plethora of electives, which becomes like, I want to do this also, this also, this also, but you ultimately have to choose very limited ones. So choosing an elective which goes with the field you want to go in, like for me, CRPC, or going into the details of CRPC, a detailed, outlook on that with Professor Gautam, was very important, and that helped me because professor wanted us to learn. And I think he felt he's in love with law and that side of criminal and litigation and all that. So ultimately students fall in love with too. Like, if a professor is in love with IPR, and they make it interesting for you, and you suddenly feel, yeah, IPR is not very daunting or very like technical. You understand the bit difference between a copyright and trademark there and then. So that way the professors are there. So I would just tell them that I chose electives and subjects given that I wanted to litigation. General has a lot of options. Choose electives not for credits, but also what you want to actually end up doing, because electives will give you a little deeper insight into your uh, main course subjects like that.
So, Kanak, do you have anything else that you would like to add on to the topic just to wrap the whole session up?
I will just say that, and it's not only about litigation. Uh, Please have the courage to start small, be it a business, be it litigation, be it corporate, or anything, be it academics also. Uh, have the persistence to stay in the course for a little while. But see, sometimes you feel that you have to do it because you've just chosen. Sometimes it will not work, but you know that is it not working, or is it that it's just asking for you to put in a little more effort. You always know that if something is working for you, or it's something just needing a little more of work. So just stay the course. And for litigation, I'm telling you, I feel it's a very rewarding journey. At the end of the day, when I come back home, I feel very exhausted but very happy. And I'm really really thankful that I got this platform, so that even if like 100 people listen to it, I think 20 people would realize that there is lot more than what litigation looks on the surface of it. And there's a lot to explore in the profession.
So, Kanak, thank you so much for doing this. We come to the end of our session now, and hopefully, you'd like to do another one with us with the
I
same
am
theme or a different
excited,
theme.
very excited.
So, hopefully, this was a very fulfilling session for you as well as the people who will be seeing this on our YouTube channel. So, yeah, thank you for connecting us, and let's do this soon.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye.